Professor Shiller, you participate in a virtual CIFTIS forum this year focused on innovation and development in digital trade. Could you please share some key points from your speech at the meeting?
Yeah, this was actually, it was a short introductory greetings address to the conference. And at that time, I actually said that digital trade is actually a significant part of digital economy. When you trade, you do it digitally, the economy is actually all involved. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about the physical aspects of the digital trade, so you bring in robotics. And it comes in manufacturing, in trading, in delivery, services. It's part of the subject of the conference, like healthcare and telemedicine, surgical robotics, rehabilitation. So basically in trading, a big part of trading is not only transferring money, but transferring goods. And when you transfer goods, and you have to make the goods, that comes into robotics. Robotics is becoming a big part of that.
I know you are currently working on a few projects. Actually, in the future, your goal is to make those research become reality. Could you share with us more about that?
You're perfectly right. Robotics is a wide field. So you have robotics everywhere, manufacturing at home, in the hospital, helping needy people who have some difficulties or handicap. So robotics is actually everywhere. Not yet, but it will be in the future. Now, I think that of all of those applications, the service robots, those that come close to the person, not those that stay in the manufacturing and make goods, but those who interact with the people, this will become probably the major market for robotics in the future. And that's where I personally am most interested in. And with my students, that's where I'm pushing them into. So I'm pushing them into developing products or developing ideas, solving basically problems where individual people, usually weak segments of society, they need somebody to assist them, and that somebody may not be there in the future. So that somebody may be a robot. And when you look around, you see plenty of such applications, from standing up from a chair, standing up from a bed where you cannot do it by yourself, even sitting on the toilet seat. So when you enter the toilet area and you want to sit on the toilet, you may want to do it with a robot and not with a person who sees you in a very intimate moment. So I do strongly believe that these personal robots and service robots are going to take a major part of the market. And this is what I personally am most interested in, because they will impact us personally. Not just what they will do in the industry, it will impact us on a daily basis.
Well, we know Israel is renowned for its high-tech industry, and China's technology sector has seen significant improvements in recent years. So as an expert in the field with nearly a decade of working experience in China, what's your assessment of the robotics industry in our two countries? I mean, how can Israel and China enhance cooperation to complement each other and achieve greater results?
It's a very good question. This is something I've been doing or engaged in the last 10 years, more accurately since 2015, when we were actually invited to China to start cooperation between Israel and an industrial park in Guangzhou. So the town Guangzhou decided to cooperate in robotics, develop an industrial park. It didn't work out as the way we planned, but we became aware of the big move of China into automation and robotics. And I've seen it at the very beginning. I just recently visited the World Robot Conference 2023 in Beijing. And I was amazed by the difference from what I remember seeing, say, about 8 years ago, and now in China. Of course, it's with the very strong help of the government that decided to actually get into robotics and become a leader in this. So they put a lot of money, not only in industry, but also in other fields. And I really became very impressed with the way the Chinese robotics industry has gone over these 2 years, or the last decade. Now, Israel is also not sitting still, also is moving into robotics. We are much smaller, But what's interesting about the Israeli robotics is that we are not big, but whatever we do has an impact worldwide. So we developed, over the years, we developed quite a few products. Some of them are service robots. For example, a robot that mows the lawn, cuts the grass, robots that cleans the swimming pool. In these areas, in swimming pool, we are world leaders. Another robot that actually is making progress recently, and that's how do you call it? It's an assistive robot. It's a companion robot. It's a small thing that sits on the table, doesn't do much. It does only this with his head, but it speaks to you, and basically it becomes like a friend, and it responds to the person that is interacting with it. So that's a robot that is actually now making waves worldwide. The company name is Intuition Robotics, and this is made in Israel. So when we look around, we see quite a few of these products that are originating from Israel and are becoming famous worldwide. So not many, but whatever we do makes an impact. Now, regarding the connection with China, now Israel is small. It's a small country. We don't have the resources that other countries may have, but we have two things that are quite unique. We, first of all, are very innovative. We are not the only ones who are innovative. Many others are innovative too, but we somehow developed an entrepreneurial culture. So Israelis, when they get into the industry, they become very successful in creating new companies. So basically solving new problems and creating new companies around it. And some people say we are the startup nation. Some people say that comes from the army culture, the way people in Israel are brought up. I don't know what's the right reason, but that's the end result is that many startups are created in Israel, and quite a few of them are successful, including the few examples that I just brought up.
Yes.
So our market is very small. We never make robots for the local market. We always make them for the global markets. And when you develop something in Israel and you are looking for the local markets, if we look, for us, it's to the east. If you look to the east and you see China, you see a huge market that hasn't been tapped yet with, say, consumer robotics. We are actually not going probably to contribute much to industrial robotics because there are many other countries who are doing it quite well in Europe, maybe also in the United States. But in the service robot area, we are quite advanced. And I believe that this is something that we can do together with China, not only for the local market in China, but also for the global market. And the cooperation, the way I see it, I call it win-win plus, meaning that when we work together, we do better than just the sum of what each one does. Now, definitely at this point, Israel is good at innovation, creating startups, has been very successful at that. China is very good in manufacturing, and actually it's quite efficient in what it does because a big country has to be efficient to succeed or to survive. And I hate to see the two countries, each one doing only what they know best. I do believe in a relationship when actually some qualities or some capabilities from one country transfers to the other. Meaning that we should some of the innovation, if we work together, we should transfer it for Chinese people to make. So it's not that we are the smart guys, we do everything in Israel, and China is only making manufacturing. I want it to be basically go bi-directional, go both ways, so that we should basically transfer some of our capabilities to China. China has to help us develop our manufacturing capabilities so that we should each one should do all parts of the entire process. Of course, each one may do more of one thing, but we learn from China, China learns from us, and at the end, this becomes a win-win plus relationship.
China expects its robotic market to grow by over 7% in the next 5 years, reaching a market volume of $9 billion in 2028. So how can robotics industry boost China's economy, particularly in high-tech sector?
It can do it in several ways. First of all, 7% growth in several years, it's not that much. I believe that the growth will be much higher. In some numbers, I saw that the current growth is at the rate of 13% a year. And I made my own calculations, and I saw some other calculations saying that the world robot market may reach in not too many years something like $400 billion. And I believe that the local Chinese market will be bigger than what you predict right now. But these are speculations. I cannot vouch for that. Now, the way robotics can affect China is in several ways. First of all, it does improve its manufacturing capabilities. And it's no doubt that China became the manufacturing hub for the world. Now, recently, with the global geopolitical problems, things are kind of slowing down, but that's what was true at least 5 years ago. So China is a great manufacturer, and if you bring robotics, you manufacturing cheaper, better, and in more quantities. That's one way. Another way is that actually the robotics itself, it makes the local industry sort of high-tech. So it's more sophisticated than if you work just by hand. Another part of that is that the way I see it is China is actually moving from industrial robots to other type of robots like the service robot we just mentioned. For example, in the last exhibition, I was very surprised to see quite a few medical robots. And some of them are solving the problem slightly different, maybe even better, that's what the developers claim, than the American or the current global robots that are made in the United States, for example. So China is moving into the field of robotics that it hasn't been there before. And if it succeeds, it may become the source for this kind of robots worldwide. One example, Xiaomi, I don't know how you pronounce it in Chinese. Xiaomi, did I say it right?
Xiaomi, yes.
They entered into robotics just recently. So they showed the humanoid that was, I don't know, I didn't have much time to look at it. But they also showed a small dog, I think it's called Cyberdog. And that Cyberdog was very impressive in the way it acted and performed. And I think that its price was tagged at $1.7 thousand. Now compare that to $70,000, the dog made by Boston Dynamics. It's probably the Boston Dynamics dog probably is much better and has more capabilities, but suddenly going down from 70,000 to 2,000, that opens a whole new market. In fact, I myself want to buy this kind of a robot. So China is going into these places in a way that actually may make it the source for robots of that kind worldwide. And definitely that contributes to the economy and in every way, in every aspect you can think of.
Yeah, we have noticed that recently, actually in the past year or two, artificial intelligence is rapidly developing, not just by annually or monthly, but by the day or even by hour. So how will this rapid development of AI impact the robotics sector?
I tell you, we're all aware of that, of course. And the most honest answer is, I don't know. It's not only I, but many don't know. By the way, that's not my specialty. I'm not an AI person, even though I may use in robots that we develop, we may integrate AI in these robots. And the way I see it is as follows. First of all, we are now moving into a new era, a new, revolution in robotics. I call it robotics 3.0. I talked about it in the last conference. And I call this as the age of smart robotics. Now, it is smart not only just because you put more software on it. And by the way, we said that before we had this revolution in AI. So it's smart not just because of the software, but also because of the hardware. So we have to put a lot of effort into making the robots smart in terms of the mechanism, that is not just a simple piece of metal, but something very smart that can perform very difficult tasks. Now, the AI revolution suddenly came with the new AI and ChatGPT and all the other things that are being developed quicker than we can understand, at least I can understand. And this will definitely be integrated into future robots in many ways. One way, the way I can see it now, is that it will actually create tasks or create plans for the robot. The robot wants to go someplace, maybe it has to choose between several places. Of course, artificial intelligence, even today, can actually choose for it what to do. I mean, where to go. It's my area of research, which is motion planning. Yeah. How to go to a place you want to reach. But the first question is which places you want to go to. Do you want to go to your grandmother? Do you want to go to your son? Do you want to go to work? These are kind of questions that advanced AI can actually help you make these decisions. So that's one way. Another way is when you move as a robot, as a mechanical system, you have to control your joints. For example, suppose that the robot fell on the floor and now it has to stand up. Now, the example with this dog by Xiaomi, it actually did learn how to stand up. But when you bring it into a new situation that it hasn't learned it before, then advanced artificial intelligence methods or algorithms can actually help it find the best way to get out of a difficult situation. Something that we haven't had until now. It wasn't popular. It was mostly in research and in software, but not with mechanical systems. So that's something new that I don't know. It's going to change us all. I don't know. We don't know how.
Should we be worried?
It's a great.
Yeah, I mean, should we be worried about potential risks? For instance, generative AI being input into a robot, because first of all, we cannot, for now, there's no 100% guarantee of what the information generative AI could give you. And secondly, how can we prevent machine to hurt humans? I mean, that's one of the questions people ask very often.
This is a very popular question right now, and actually, basically, it's an ethical question. It's more for ethical people, not for roboticists like myself. But let me tell you a little story. I was at 2006 or 86. I was talking to an Israeli conference, and the same question came up, should we be afraid of robots? Should we be afraid that robots will actually conquer us or take control of us, and we should be scared of that? I said, it's not so true anymore, but that's what I said then. I said, for two reasons I'm not worried. One is that they don't have intuition, meaning we can predict what they are going to do. So if we can predict that, we can stop them before something bad is happening. That's one thing. The second reason is that I don't see how robots can become leaders. They don't have charisma. They don't have charisma. You don't necessarily listen to one robot and not to the others. And when you have charisma and you want to do bad things, you can bring behind you many people like robots, and they can actually attack you or do something bad for you. Now, I was wrong in the one aspect of that. I was wrong because even today, you cannot predict what they're going to do. So with generative AI, you know how you start, you don't know which way it's going to go, because it may decide its own directions, what's good for it and not good for you. Like Asimov has the 3 rules. One of them is that robots cannot hurt humans. But that's not necessarily good for robots. So robots may decide, because that's how artificial intelligence works. It tries to find the best way. Now the question is, what is best? And best, somebody has to find best. Now, if the robot has the freedom of define what's best for it, using some experiments and decide, okay, I'm doing some task faster than if I do it the other way. For example, I can walk over people and I can get faster to my destination. So that's bad for us. But for the robot, it's better because it actually reached the destination faster. So we cannot, what I said 10 years ago, it's not necessarily true. and the reality is changing, and the problem actually stays with the people who develop these programs, regulators that have to say, okay, whatever you develop, we have to test it in some way that it will not go crazy. I have no answer to that, but it's a good question. And
it sounds like the power is in hands of those people who are developing these robots.
And that's definitely true to the point that some of them actually decided, I think it's OpenAI, some of them, I don't remember which one, decided to stop the program, to stop the development. Because they don't know which way it's going, because it's developing so fast. And computers, they think maybe sometimes faster than humans, and huge computers can, in a few days or few months, can reach conclusions that we never thought that they're even possible. So I don't worry. I think that the world is quite stable, and reasonable people will not let this happen, and will find ways to I don't know if to
hopefully
slow, but to control.
To have a certain mechanism to put the prevention measure in place in advance. Well,
exactly, like turn off the battery, or turn off the electricity to this robot if it goes.
This is the last question for you, Professor Shiller. How can we work together in a world that China wants to have a multilateral cooperation with countries around the world, but some countries in the West want to handle it differently?
Right. First of all, whatever you are mentioning, it's really the result of fear and bad practice that probably they experienced. I didn't experience that bad practice. I was positive. I was trying to develop something mutual. It didn't work yet. I'm still hoping that it will work out. But you see, I see it a little bit differently. You see, we have Israel that is small. We have China that is huge. China can make things much better and faster than what we can, because we don't have the capabilities. We have some of the brain. We think openly, so we are innovators. And I think that we alone cannot survive. China alone eventually can, but if we want to work together, we can get win-win plus. We can get better from both of us. At this point, I do believe in cooperation. I do believe that if we offer and we establish positive mutual relationships, not something that you do this, I do that. That's what I said earlier. Is that if you can integrate and kind of fuse whatever China can do, fuse it into Israel, whatever Israel can do, fuse part of it into China, then you work together to develop a specific product, and you don't just cut it. So you are the bright guys, you think, we make. No, we should both make and think, not in the same proportion maybe, but I believe that's my secret or my formula to success, but it has to be mutual. And I believe that Israel is a partner for this kind of relationship. And I've been cooperating, I don't know if cooperating, but talking with the Chinese entities, with the WRC since 2015. And I still believe in this kind of cooperation.